Thank you, sir. Good evening. If you'll join me with the invocation, which will be followed by the Pledge of Allegiance, so bow your heads, please. Heavenly Father, we thank you for this day and all the blessings you've given us. We thank you for providing us the opportunity to serve the citizens of Elkins. We ask that you guide us in our decision-making as we strive to help our community grow. We also ask that you watch over and guide our country's leaders. In Jesus' name I pray, amen. I now call the Elkins Common Council Special Council meeting to order, and we'll ask our city clerk to take roll.
Councilor Bross Fraganera.
Here.
Councilor Chenoweth.
Here.
Councilor Kwanzo.
Present.
Councilor Friddle is absent. Councilor Guy, absent. Councilor Higgins, absent. Councilor Hinchman.
Here.
Councilor Lowther.
Here.
Councilor Parker.
Here.
Councilor Vest.
Here.
You have a quorum.
Thank you. We have we have a couple of agenda adjustments here that we will address later on. Is there anyone here for public comment tonight?
I'm Dave Clark. I'm with Woodlands Development and Lending. We're located at 316 Railroad Avenue. I'm here tonight on behalf of our Tigard Hotel redevelopment project. Some of you may know we were able to close on all the financing for the project about 3 weeks ago. We've started construction. Some of our subs are getting in there now. We expect to be fully on schedule and open next summer 23, that is. One of the things we cannot do with our financing, unfortunately, is make off-site improvements at all. So we're asking the city to consider using some of your ARPA funds to make improvements to the Seneca Mall parking lot behind there. What we can do is offer assistance with design, coordination, anything else that needs to happen there, but we just can't use our money for any construction off-site, off of the Tigard Hotel. So I appreciate that being on the agenda tonight and certainly around later on if there are any questions.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Anyone else for public comment? If not, we will go down to our minutes. I'm looking for a motion to approve the minutes from the April 7th, 2022 meeting, please.
Motion to accept as presented.
We have a motion. Any comments or discussion? If none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, nay. Motion carries. In your correspondence and notifications, you have your issued building permits, your treasurer's report, and your events. We have a presentation tonight from the Elkins Main Street Director, Madeline Higgins. Welcome, Madeleine.
I have my phone here to check the time, so
You're
thank
fine.
you all. Thank you all for having me here tonight. My name is Madeline Higgins. I work for Elkins Main Street as the director. Our office is located at 1011th Street at the Wood Technology Center. Our set office hours are about 10 to 3, but we are found all over the community. So tonight I'm here to talk a little bit about Elkins Main Street, what we have been doing and what we're looking forward to in the future. Our board is made up of directors that are building owners, business owners, property owners, community leaders, and partners, and many organizations that we all work with. Let me go back to that for just a second. The Main Street organization itself is made up of 4 pillars: organization, design, economic vitality, and promotion. And we are a Main Street community, which we are one of 12 in the state of West Virginia, and we're very proud of that. So Main Street communities work on these initiatives to support the revitalization of downtowns. Looking at design, we have brought in Mike Giolis as a historic consultant to assist in the importance of preservation of our downtown properties and getting to know more about that so that the property owners can make informed decisions about their properties. So that's a service that's provided by Main Street, West Virginia, and we've been pleased to assist the Darden House as well as many other properties in the downtown. Design is very important to the organization, making sure that we communicate with our property owners so that they know what they can do for their building to support that characteristic historic downtown that we have. Along with design, we work closely with the City of Elkins with the streetscape vision and moving that forward. So working with the street department on placing many of the trash receptacles and working with the Elkins Tree Board with the Downtown Tree Project and working with building owners that are looking at improving their sidewalks. So we have a lot running, and it's great to see the visions of everyone come together. Another project that is high and heavy on our minds right now is the downtown parking project. So expanding that test block. So we assisted the city in developing the designs for the parking signs, as well as the ordering. And we've been really grateful for that collaboration and seeing that move forward. 200 signs were ordered through A&A Safety. So we'll see those momentarily in the downtown to cover the 24 blocks in our commercial district. For economic vitality, we're focusing on supporting our current businesses, growing business, and looking at startups, as well as recruiting other businesses. And so a lot of that was seen at the Elkins Entrepreneurs Expo, but it was a buildup of a lot of stuff that was happening with one-on-one meetings, recruitment opportunities with other communities, and the collaboration with the Chamber, Development Authority, and other entities in the area. We field calls with interested small business startups, and they say, this is my idea, where do I go? Or, hey, I have a vacant space, what do I do? And so we are really connecting those bridges. Another thing we're doing is looking at incubator options. One example recently was identifying that there were a lot of people that were interested in starting their own restaurant, but were not really ready to make that step into a location. And so coordinating with the Parks and Rec Commission to reconsider some of the structure for the Phil Gaynor Community Center was really impactful for those individuals to be able to consider their next step in their business. Last year, we worked with West Virginia Main Street to be able to provide Elkins with the Elkins Market Study. 2 documents were produced from this, the snapshot of Elkins, as well as the at a glance, the follow-up from the study that was done. We had over 1,000 respondents for the survey, which was threefold of what they're used to. And this opportunity brought us information about what the community wants for small business. They weren't asked, what do you want, but what will you actually support? And that's been an important question. This information started a ripple effect with our organization, as well as the Chamber and the Development Authority, to lead to the Elkins Entrepreneurs event. So taking this information, realizing that there's a lot of other opportunities for support for small business and the community, and bringing all those entities together. And that's not going to stop at that event. We have more to come. Promotion of the area and our local businesses. We have a lot of great businesses that provide food, entertainment, and arts and shopping. So making sure that our community is aware of it, and the region is aware of it, the state, and beyond. Along with promotion, there was an enhancement of the brand to have more icons available to describe our area. We aren't only surrounded by the forest, but we have the Mountain State Forest Festival here in our town. We have a thriving arts community, a biking community. Craft beer is very popular here. Our important historic structures, music, recreation, so on and so forth. Looking to the future, with the design committee, we're looking at pedestrian improvements on Railroad Avenue. That's a really important thoroughfare for our community. A lot of visitors will come to the train, let's drag them into town. And so we've been working with the operations department on several items to improve the pedestrian experience on Railroad Avenue, as well as other locations in town. Supporting the completion of the Elkins Tree Board Downtown Tree Project and helping move that forward. Art installations, expansion of the downtown parking sign project as well. Some other things to mention from the Economic Vitality Committee moving forward is taking the Why Here, Why Now theme of the Elkins Entrepreneurs Expo and forwarding that into additional small business support series events. Next, enhancing the commercial property listing. I had a meeting this morning with somebody that'll be listing their vacant property on the RCA website so that we can promote what we have available in our area for small businesses. Looking at opportunity tours and business incubator programs for small businesses. Additionally, this is a lovely photo of the farmer's market of an exchange, but you might not get to see it. So then the collaboration with Elkins Farmers Market will come this summer, where we are going to collaborate with them to have an area for arts experiences, as well as some jam sessions and nonprofit communication. The Arts Walk and Tune With, the Elkins Jazz Walk, will come back this year, and additional support for community branding, taking that branding and sharing it with the community businesses to also use, and additional promotion. Everything is made possible by our partnerships. These are some of our partners, but there are so many more. The boards and commissions of the City of Elkins, Elkins Landmarks Commission, Elkins Tree Board. There are so many logos that could fit on this page for the people that we work with, but these are just a few. I really appreciate your time this evening, and I appreciate the collaboration and communication that we have with the City of Elkins to push the efforts to building a vibrant community forward. Do you have any questions?
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Okay, moving down to our committee reports, we will start with Councilor Chenoweth, please.
Personnel Committee did not meet this month, so I don't have a report. So our next meeting is going to be, I believe it's May 12th at noon.
I think so. That sounds correct. Yeah.
Okay, thank you. Councilor Hinchman.
Okay, ARPA met, and we went over the community requests. We had 22 of them, was able to do about half of them. We approved monies for the YMCA, Davis Health Systems, spay and neutering. Do you want the amounts that, okay. And free downtown activities, youth built, new bleachers for the Babe Ruth, Elkins Farmers Market, the Arts Center, Old Brick Playhouse, for a total of $154,246. And I'm looking ahead at the other needs from our regular critical services. And right now, after we bring in the next 1.5 million, we're about 1.2 million over budget. So there's that many more needs that we have.
Thank you. Okay, Councilor Lowther.
Parks will meet tomorrow evening at 5 o'clock at the Phil Gaynor Center. I'd like to thank the ARPA Funds Committee for approving the money for the bleachers at Bluegrass Park. I've worked very closely with the Babe Ruth organization over the last couple months, and I'd like to commend them on their dedication to getting this project moving. That's all I have.
Thank you. Councilor Brasser-Ganera.
The Planning Commission will be meeting mid-May to go through the final, we hope, draft. And so stay tuned for that. We do have a number of things. I just happen to have the email in front of me with all the different Earth Day, Arbor Day events, since this is the last one before all these activities take place. On Friday the 22nd, this Friday, there will be tree planting. We'll be planting the 30 trees. If you've gone by City Park, you've seen the fences. All that work was done by an incredible crew of volunteers and park employees, spending all day and a miserable day digging all those holes in the mud. So this Friday we'll be planting the 30 trees, and also Parks and Rec will be also doing a city park maintenance day, perhaps working on some of the gardens. That starts at 11 o'clock. On Arbor Day, which is the following Friday, we have Arbor Day tree planting. 2 trees will be planted at Glendale Park at 2 o'clock, and then later that day Bluegrass Park. And Bluegrass Park is undergoing a tree transformation. We're not exactly sure on what the date will be, but a member of the tree board has really worked closely with Parks and Rec, and will be planting a number of trees in that park to really improve the canopy. There's been none right up to this point. Then on the 30th, there will be the Earth Day celebration from noon until 2 o'clock in City Park. We commend Parks and Rec for letting that activity take place. And that will be a full day of lots of hands-on activities, information. DNR will be there, and that'll be great. And then in May, we'll have the Darden House Gardens cleanup, but that's way in May. So that's just a little bit of what we're doing in our neck of the woods. So join us at some point.
Thank you.
That would be great.
Councilor Kwanzo.
Thank you, Mayor. I just want to add that the tree board was at that event planting, digging all those holes. It was a long, hard day, but I'm really looking forward to getting the trees in the ground. Some of them are pretty small, so they won't be put in the ground. They'll be kept at the nursery until they're a little bit bigger, but the cages will be there to remind everybody that not to drive on those areas. Yesterday, our arborist came to town and pruned many trees. He pruned, I don't know, a lot of trees at Glendale, all the little trees over there. He cleaned them up, and they look really good, and gave the tree outside a haircut. I hope you guys noticed that. Then he did some tree work over at the city park as well. Tomorrow is Municipal Properties at 9 a.m., so we'll see you there. Thank you.
Thank you. Councilor Vest.
No report.
Thank you. Councilor Parker.
The Public Safety Committee met. We just had really good updates from everybody about the progress they were making over the last month. We did have good news on continuing to work on the demolitions of certain properties. One of the properties we had sort of at the top of the list was acquired by a private party and is, we hope and trust, going to be taken care of promptly. The code enforcement officer made it plain to the new owners that that was expected to occur without any delay. Most of what we discussed, frankly, of substance, was in this mutual aid agreement that will be before council tonight. We reviewed that and recommended it to council. And that's about it.
Thank you, sir. Okay, under our staff reports, we have our Chief Wastewater Operator, Whitney Himes.
Well, good evening. It looks like the sun's poking out a little bit, and I'm ready for 80-degree weather. I don't know about you guys, but this snow is not something I like. I don't have much for you tonight, just a little bit of recap on the month. It must have been the month for inspections because I got inspected 3 times this month. So the DEP came 3 times. First was our lab inspection. She recertified us for another year. I think we did pretty well with that. And then we had 2 days with a CSI inspection where they sampled our plant and looked at all of our records and went through our lift stations, and I think they were impressed with that too. So I'm pretty proud of the accomplishments that we have with those inspections. Our first portion of our SCADA money has been paid into it, so we're starting to dig tomorrow to put lay conduit and wiring in. We have a project meeting next Tuesday to see how far along that Eldon and Cybertech is coming, and hopefully we'll have all the conduit laid by next week. We're hoping to get it in tomorrow if the weather holds off, so we're not dragging our feet on that anymore. I'm glad. I have 1 employee that has passed his CDLs at the plant, so proud of him. He's also going to get his Class 2s in July probably, so very proud of him in that. I also have 2 employees signed up next week to go to the CDL training courses, so these guys are really getting into training and advancing in their career, and I'm proud of them. We do have a new hire that started in collections Monday. We had another guy quit. We have a pretty high turnover rate, but hopefully he'll stay. I'm really happy with him and our new hires there. I have a worker that's been with the city probably 20 years, and he's retiring next month. So we have a position opening at the wastewater plant. I'm going to miss him. He's a lot of knowledge, and he's our equipment operator, and he's going to be hard to replace.
We tried to entice him with a new loader, you know that, right?
Well, I'm getting to that loader.
No, I said we tried to entice him to stay by getting
Oh,
a new loader.
well, yeah, sort of, but I don't think he's going to stay.
I know.
I have submitted all the information for the generator purchase to RESA 7. He is undergoing that benefit cost analysis right now, so hopefully we get some grant money for that. He should be able to let me know by the end of the week. We have received a portion of our Hawk flow meters that's going to be on all of our CSO outfalls. We're waiting on the other portion right now. That's going to help record all of our flows and our stormwater from the Phase 2 projects. One thing that I'm really passionate about in my job is showing youth what I do, and we had a tour from the Upshur County FFA Envirothon team this month. Jessica came down and helped give a presentation on recycling and composting and gave a tour of the wastewater facility, and after they kind of got used to it, they enjoyed it, and I love seeing the youth get involved with stuff like that. And the Envirothon, if you're not sure of it, it's an FFA competitions for the high school kids where they go and they learn about recycling and composting in municipalities and how they can do a benefit cost and run a municipality and things like that. We did receive the loader. I'm so excited about this loader. Thank you guys so much. It couldn't come quick enough because our old one wouldn't start this morning. So it came Monday. We have already christened it. It's got so many bells and whistles. We have training on Thursday. It's amazing. So thank you guys so much for that approval. And just to let you know, that is one piece of equipment that we use every day, 6 hours a day. Without it, we couldn't do our biosolids application and land application. So just thank you so much. These guys are they're all out there flocking around, and it's like a new toy. So it's great. Thank you. With the purchase of the loader and the SCADA, it has dropped our need down a little bit. We're still about $1.8 million in need at the sewer plant. We still got a lot of need there. So we are chipping away at it bit by bit. We've been in touch with some agencies to try to get some funding and grant money. So hopefully we can get some more need taken care of. We were supposed to receive our vac truck this month, but unfortunately it's been delayed, so we should be getting it in July. So hopefully that has a lot of bells and whistles on it too. I'm very excited about that too. But other than that, I think that's it. We're doing pretty well. Hopefully the weather breaks and we can get some digging done. We've got a lot of back projects in the books, so hopefully that 80-degree weather will come soon and we can get things taken care of. Any questions? Okay. Thanks.
Love the enthusiasm. Thank you so much. Chief Bennett.
Good evening. I only have one thing to report tonight, and that's last week I had 2 officers complete interdiction training during a 3-day course down in Summersville. They're back and said that the course was awesome and out on the road trying to apply those skills. That's all I have this evening, unless anybody has any questions for me.
What are they doing?
Interdiction. Drug interdiction.
Okay. Interdiction? What is that? What is that?
That's identifying subtle clues as to when somebody is transporting illegal items and knowing where to look to find them and get them off the street.
Thank you. Mr. Sampson.
Good evening, council. I don't have very many things myself to report out tonight. Spring cleanup 2022 is now finished. We ended up with 75.5 ton of trash taken across the scales. which is down from 120 ton last year. So, and it cost roughly a little over $10,000. So that was a nice service we provided to the citizens of Elkins. This week, Tracy and I are going to sit down and work on the sanitation budget. So we got done with the general fund budget, and now we're going to kick off on the sanitation budget. So God be with us on all that one. Last and final item is I met with Bryson last week about the generator, the emergency generator. He got the drawings to me, and it's ready to be bid out. So hopefully we'll start seeing some progress on that part. Other than that, that's all I have tonight. Any questions? All right. Thank you, guys.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Ms. Judy?
Good evening. In addition to meeting with Josh on Thursday, I'm meeting with Whitney tomorrow to go over the sewer budget. So the fire budget, the landfill and sanitation budgets will be brought to finance, the first meeting in May, and then it'll come before council sometime in May, probably the second meeting. Not sure we'll have it ready for the first, but for those, and then water and sewer will be adopted by their respective boards. So we have a lot of work to do on both of those due to the increased cost in both of those funds and utilities for chemicals. I spoke with Dixie, who works with Bob Rodecker, and she says most of the increases around the state are due to chemical cost for the water plants. We ran legal ads for RFPs for our property and liability insurance in the Intermountain March 4th and March 11th, and the Charleston Gazette March 5th and March 12th. The 2 bids were received. They are significantly higher than anticipated. Our carrier went out after 5 different companies. The response is not good, so we'll have to approach that with finance, but we're looking at a 32% increase. We're just about finished with getting all the information to the state for the fleet fuel card. Hope to have those cards by around May 1st, and that will be, the rebate that we will get will be the same as we get with the P cards, is 1.25%. Received notice today about our final sales tax revenue from the state for this fiscal year, and it will be in the amount of $372,552.90. That'll give us a total for this fiscal year of $1,471,556. And that is all I have. Anybody have any questions?
Was that amount,
Can you use your microphone, please?
was that amount similar to what you had expected, or?
We had budgeted 1.2 million.
Oh, great.
So last fiscal year, we received 1,296,000. Fiscal year 20, we received 1,131,000, and in fiscal year 19, 1,063,000. So it's increased every time.
Great,
Okay.
great.
All right.
Thank you.
And also, I have a new employee in my office that started Monday, and we're very excited, and she's doing great things with the first 2 days that she's been here. So she's initially taking customers' payments. She'll get more into the B&Os and business licenses. The deputy treasurer is going to kind of do some other work in addition to that. So we're kind of reorganizing in the way we're doing things down in the office.
Fantastic.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Chief Himes?
Only thing I've got this evening, we had a very productive and long meeting with the Civil Service Commission today, but good things are coming out of that, I believe. If Mother Nature ever makes her mind up as to what season we're in, the guys are gonna be starting hose testing very soon, so you'll see some activity daily down at the fire station for a couple of weeks. We've got roughly about 12,000 linear feet of hose. That's both carried and spare, and every inch of that's got to be tested every year to remain in compliance with both the state and manufacturer recommendations and ISO. So that'll be coming up in the next couple of weeks, I hope. So anybody got any questions for me?
Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Ms. Sutton.
Just want to thank the mayor and councilors and members of the public who attended the Riverfront meetings last week. We had a stakeholders meeting and also a public workshop, and they were very productive. So our contracting firm will take that information back, include it in their process for the design planning. And there'll be another opportunity to participate and provide input probably later in May. Once they come up with a rough design, we'll get back together again, look it over, make some suggestions before they finalize everything. That's
Thank
all.
you. Thank you. Ms. Roberts.
Thank you, Mayor. Just a couple things real quickly. With regard to Tracy's comments concerning the bids that have been submitted to the city with regard to the insurance that will have to go into place by July 1. She's provided me copies of those, so I'm going to take a look at them and see if we have any particular questions. We want to reach out to the bidding agencies before this goes to Finance Committee and then eventually to Council. So you have time to take a look at it. And unfortunately, one of the problems, as Tracy commented, there are some companies that have chosen to no longer write insurance policy in the state of West Virginia. So you are limited in that regard, and particularly because you're a political subdivision. There are some companies that just don't write that line of insurance. That's just not in their groups of policies. So you are limited, and you're not the only city in that position. Secondly, just to mention the ordinance that this council passed with regard to the request from the RCDA to have their 72 plus acres as a big part of the city is going to be considered by the county commission at their meeting this Thursday at 1:30. Just to let everybody know that in case you have any questions or would like to attend. There will be personnel there from the city and also Mr. Morris from the RCDA. And the only other thing I'd like to speak to you all about, some of you have in front of you a memo that I did and passed out to the Public Safety Committee prior to their consideration of the mutual aid agreement. We can talk about that when that comes up on your agenda. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, down to the approval of vendor invoice payments. I'm looking for a motion to approve the invoices.
I move we pay the AP.
We have a motion. Any comments or discussion? If none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, nay. Motion carries. Under new business, Resolution 1517, approving the promotions and confirming compensation level for H. Corcoran and J. Judy. I'm looking for a motion to approve, please.
So moved.
We have a motion. Any comments or discussion? If none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, nay. Motion carries. Resolution 1518, approving a memorandum of understanding between regional law enforcement agencies and the Elkins Police Department and authorizing execution thereof. I'm looking for a motion to approve, please.
So moved.
We have a motion. Any comments or discussion? If none, all those in favor?
City Attorney, explain.
Yes.
Oh, sure. So, as you can see, what I left at your place at council is a memo that I prepared and gave the Public Safety Committee and other members of city personnel. For many years, everyone said, well, do we have mutual aid agreements and with other law enforcement agencies? Well, no one could ever locate one. So it seemed to me that maybe what you ought to do, and Chief Bennett was most kind to help me put something together with this, you ought to just have one in place. So as you can see from the agreement that you're going to be considering, there will be, am I right, Chief, are there 7 law?
7 total.
7 total law enforcement agencies that will sign off on this. Each of their governing bodies, whether it's a county commission or a city council, will have to approve, as you are doing tonight. They will sign off on it. Once it's executed by everybody, it gets filed in the circuit clerk's office of each county that is subject to it, so that there's a record that you all have the authority to act in situations beyond your jurisdictional territories, in case that would ever become an issue with regard to criminal investigations or any types of investigations. So I think it's pretty self-explanatory. It is provided, I attached the West Virginia code sections that allow you to do it. This is almost identical to the one the city of Buchanan has with several other agencies, and they're going to be a part of this also. So there it is.
If I may, we really looked at this pretty carefully in a public safety meeting, and I think I can speak for the committee in saying we did not see a downside to this at all. This is just common sense as far as we were concerned once we'd worked through all that. So I would strongly recommend it to council.
I would agree, Dave. Any other comments or discussion? If none, all those in favor say aye. Aye. Those opposed, nay. Motion carries. And the reason we are here on a Tuesday night instead of our regular Thursday night meeting, the laying of the levy. I'm looking for a motion to approve, please.
Motion to approve.
We have a motion. Any comments or discussion? If none, all those in favor say aye. Aye. Those opposed, nay. Motion carries. Discussion of ad hoc ARPA Advisory Committee recommendations. I'm looking for a motion to approve the recommendations.
Wait, maybe I want to state what the recommendation is first. Okay. Well, you don't need a motion to, included in your packets is the original request that was submitted to the ARPA committee. And at that meeting, the recommendation was made to consider this separately than the initial 5% that was approved for the community requests. So the request is for, sorry, what's the backside to that? 48,000. Yeah, 48,000. Okay. I don't know if any of the committee members wanted to add anything to that.
Okay, I'll lead off. Here's what we're looking at, and this is just with 2 of our agencies or departments. Street Department needs a grader.
Mr. Hinchman, I'm sorry to interrupt, but this was put on the agenda for the explicit recommendation that was brought from the committee, not for other considerations.
Then no.
No. You don't have anything to add?
No.
Okay.
So we're just deciding on this particular request because we had pulled it out because we deemed it as being a city-owned property. And so it didn't seem like it fit into that 5% pie. We felt like it should be pulled out and be thought of on its own merit. And in the committee, everybody was in favor of.
Not everybody was in favor.
Okay. I'm sorry. The committee decided to pull it out and bring it forward to council.
Are we still open for discussion?
If it's up to you all. I mean, if you want to approve it, then there will be a motion to approve. I just wanted to be specific about what the motion was for approval.
So yes, it's still open for discussion, Mike.
Have we had the motion?
It's still open for discussion.
Okay.
Okay, I don't have a problem with it. It's a good project. I just have a problem about coming out of ARPA funds. If we want to take it out of stabilization funds or someplace else, I fully support it. But we're 1.2 million over budget of what we need for our people to work with. And these are just not any particular things. We're looking at trucks, backhoes. We're looking at stuff that won't pass inspection. So those are the reasons why that I wouldn't want to approve this. we have a very limited amount of monies. So if you want to take it out of the stabilization fund or someplace else, I don't have a problem with it. But I think we need every penny that we've got to work with what we have with the ARPA funds. We've had deferred maintenance for a long time. This is not even a wish list. On my wish list, I have about 4 other things on there. I'd like to see LED lights throughout the city. I'd like to see a computer system throughout the city. And I'd like to see the flood control put on there. These are ones that don't even have any money attached. Also, HVAC for this building too. Those don't even include the 1.2 million that we're over. That also doesn't give any money to the police or the firemen or sanitation. We're only looking at money going into wastewater, the wastewater plant, and also back into the street department. So we have a lot of need.
Do we need to have the motion? We're having sort of the discussion before the motion. Is that okay?
I think it wasn't on there as a resolution or an ordinance, so it's just on there as a discussion
Okay.
item. So I think it's fine to continue with the discussion, and then at some point, if you want it to be approved, you make the
Counselor, I need
motion
you to
for
use the
approval.
microphone, please.
Okay. Sorry. I was just asking for clarification.
Well, I'll make a motion.
Since Mr. Clark is here, would it make sense for him to exactly explain to us what he's requesting and what it's going to be used for? It's $48,000. Just put that out there.
It's fine if they want, have them come
Is
up.
this,
That's fine.
we're specifically talking about the Seneca Mall parking lot improvement, is that correct?
Yes.
Okay. Go ahead.
Sure. As I said before, we've secured all the financing we need to redevelop. We've secured all the financing we need to redevelop the building, $16 million. What we can do with our financing is make off-site improvements. I think everybody would agree improvements need to be made to the Seneca Mall parking lot. We submitted it through the grant process thinking that may be one avenue to consider. I understand why it was taken off the agenda, being a city-owned property. We went ahead and got a quote for paving. There's some curbing that needs to be done in there, that really needs to be done in there. So we're talking about basic improvements, nothing substantial with that amount of money. But I think that's probably a realistic but conservative number that would be needed to make those improvements. Is there anything I can add? Any questions?
Is there alternative sources that you've considered besides ARPA funds?
No, there aren't. I mean, we've tapped just about every possible funding source I can think of on the building itself. So if there are other funds to consider, we'd be happy to do so. But no, we have not considered any others.
Mayor, may I ask a question?
Absolutely.
Mr. Clark, and I guess part of the problem would be is you don't own the property, obviously.
That's correct.
I mean, it's a city property, so what you could do would have to really go through the city anyway if there was other funding in a manner of a grant or whatever. And that's probably the reason, if I understand what you said, is why the lending institutions aren't willing for you to use any funds you're getting for the improvements on the building, is because you are not going to own the parking lot.
That's correct.
Okay.
Yeah, that's exactly it.
Okay, that's just so I understand that.
Sure.
The city's made an arrangement with the hotel, with Woodlands, about the use of those numbered parking spaces, correct?
That's correct.
Yeah, okay, but you don't own them.
But since we don't own it, yeah. And that
Thank
was-
you.
I mean, to me, this is a project that has got to be done in order for us to move forward with the hotel. And It is city-owned property. I mean, I don't have any problems with it coming from stabilization. If it comes from stabilization, if we can all be in agreement that, you know, that has to go back through finance, I assume, correct? In order for that to happen. But I think it's an important project that needs to be done. It's a city-owned property, so we have to take care of it.
And I would agree with that, and I think the investment, the transformative aspect of the project will radically change what happens downtown, and I think the city does need to support that. I mean, the effect on our hotel motel revenues will be phenomenal, sales tax, everything else. And I think we should support this investment, this huge investment that has taken so long to see happen within our downtown. So I would be in favor of supporting this.
I would like to point out this is going to benefit the other businesses, not just the hotel as well. So, I mean, that's something to consider. We have other businesses in that area that are going to benefit from additional parking in that, or restructuring of the parking, if you could. So it needs to be addressed. It's an issue that we have downtown, especially in that area. It's something we have to look at.
Well, I don't think that problem is going to be overwhelming, sir, with all due respect. I think we need to put our money where our mouth is in terms of economic development in this city. And, you know, we've done a lot of talking about it, and we've had concerned citizens for ages expecting us to be somehow generators of jobs. They always expect that. Oh, I'll create new jobs for you. While that may not be the real work of city council, because we don't have, that's not our portfolio. On the other hand, this is creating new jobs. It's bringing a major economic driver in, and I just think that we cannot afford to sit back and say, oh, I don't think we can do that. We really don't believe what we say about economic development, because that's exactly what's going to be happening. And this is not a huge amount of money. Mike, with all due regard, brother, we have spent a great deal of money and committed a great deal more money to wastewater, water, equipment for streets, and I know we're not done, and I know that a lot of that's critical. But at some point, we've got to think outside just that 5% on the ARPA funds when it comes to how we're going to spend. The world is really larger than that. And what Woodlands is doing with that building, what is it, $16 million?
That's correct, 16.2.
And we're talking about $14,000?
48,000.
48,000.
Oh, 28,000.
48.
Somebody get your calculator out and tell me what percentage of 16 million that is, please.
It's one
But-
truck.
We're
It's
talking
one
about a
truck to the
synergy
city.
being created between the proposed visitor center or event center in the rail yard, the Tiger. We're talking about Augusta physically situating itself right in the heart of downtown. And this is a synergy that's beginning to develop. And we need to really take some ownership in at least some small part of that, and not just stand on the sidelines with our pom-poms and cheer it on.
Well, for clarification, Dave, I meant it impacts the other businesses in a positive way because it helps them as well. I wasn't saying it impacts them in a
Okay.
negative way. So for clarification, it impacts them in a positive way.
Well,
So, yes.
But they don't make
And
any
in the end, it'll
pom-poms
pay
that
for
would look good
itself.
for you or me, boss. They just don't. So I'd rather we support it this way.
May I add something, please?
Oh, yeah?
Yes.
So there's two differences that I see here. The ARPA funds can be used for infrastructure such as water and sewer, but our financial stabilization account cannot be used for those. Okay? So I think with Councilor Henchman's suggestion, if you all want to move forward with it, you could take it out of the financial stabilization account, where if water or sewer needed something, we can't use that, no. So just wanting to maybe explain that a little bit more.
Thank you.
You're welcome, no problem.
Can you remind us how much is in financial stabilization?
Approximately 1.1 million.
Mike,
about
you
the
can
money.
have your pickup truck back. We'll get it out of stabilization, bro.
All right.
As long as it's
Now, Woodlands is doing a great job, but that's not an issue. It's just that I don't want it to come out of the ARPA funds because we have so much more needs to also. But I support the project.
You okay with that, Dave?
I'm great
don't
with
care where the
that. I
money comes from.
appreciate that very much. I appreciate that, yes. All right. Thank you all.
Thanks, Dave.
Can I make a recommendation that we refer it back to finance?
Yes, please. So is that a motion?
There's a motion on the floor to approve the, so that needs to, well, if you make a motion to refer it back to committee, that will supersede the motion to approve.
I'll make that motion.
You're making a motion to do which?
To send it back to finance to come out of the stabilization fund. So,
Peace, brother.
any other comments or discussion? If none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, nay. Motion carries. That was very good discussion there, guys. Ordinance 298, an ordinance of the Common Council of the City of Elkins, West Virginia, amending and supplementing City Code, Chapter 71, stopping, standing, and parking concerning parking in alleys. This is the first of two readings. I'm looking for a motion to approve, please.
So moved.
so
We-
moved, and then Jerry could highlight
Explain?
the changes.
Sure.
That would be great.
So for several meetings, this item was discussed at Rules and Ordinance. One of, it came to their attention, I believe, from our parking attendant because of difficulties that sanitation trucks and some other city vehicles were having getting through alleys. This has been looked at by both of our fire department, police department, and the sanitation with regard to the trucks and the things that were having difficulties. And after deliberation, this is what they've come up with. You're going to have a new section in your chapter that deals with parking and where you can't park. And that's what this is about. It's going to be clear about where you can't park and where you can unload and load. The penalty is just as is for other parking violation penalties that basically says it is set by council from time to time. My recollection from what Jessica told me, currently a parking ticket is a $15 fine.
Yes.
So this would be that type of fine, but there's not a definitive amount in there. It just allows it as you have changed it over time and you recently adopted something. So this will add 2 new sections to your chapter that deals with parking and hopefully solve the problem about parking in alleys.
Any other comments or questions? If none, all those in favor say aye. Aye. Those opposed, nay. Motion carries. Okay, under mayor's comments, I had written down synergy within the city tonight because I really think what I've seen, as you guys know, I go out and deliver birthday cards to the employees just because it's my way of thanking them for the work that they've done throughout the year, interact with them, and kind of get to know them on a personal level. And I'm very excited about the synergy and energy level that I see in the collaboration with the various departments. And actually, I'll say even this council, even though you guys don't always agree, you are willing to sit down, negotiate, compromise, and come to the right decision like you did previously. For me, that's a very exciting moment. I'm proud to be part of this team. And like I said, I think we have some great momentum right now, and I'm excited about our future. And with that, I will look for a motion to adjourn so we can go enjoy this blustery evening, spring evening.
May I,
So,
before we adjourn,
yes, sir.
I have a question, sir, in the interest of all of council.
Yes.
And our guest here tonight, too. The action, the legislation, whatever, from J.V. McCuskey that we've received the information on, it's, if you all haven't seen this, it's dealing with distressed properties and demolitions. And what I wanted to ask our counselor, while we're all here together and get the same information, is where's the substance in that as far as the city is concerned? As I read what one news outlet put out and then what was shared with us from City Hall, I was trying to figure out where is the advantage for the city of Elkins.
Well, there are a couple advantages. One is, as the auditor spoke when he came here and visited, and he's been making tours around cities in the state, one of them is to hopefully streamline the process for the sale of properties for real estate taxes that are unpaid, delinquent taxes. It is a cumbersome process. It puts cities at real disadvantages in order to deal with abandoned properties, because they're abandoned many times because people just literally walk away from them, quit paying taxes, quit living there, whatever. So the things that will go in place when this legislation becomes effective, and I think it was 90 days from passage, don't quote me on that, but sometime in the future, that will get streamlined. And they're really working out the details of that. So that will help. You also get, as a city, an opportunity to bid on those properties first, so that if you've got them on your list and you have a property that's a nuisance, basically, you can go in and bid on those and have the opportunity. Now, all you're buying is the tax lien. You're not buying the property. We all know there's a process for that. So that's really going to be instrumental, I believe. It's a very detailed bill, and they put a lot of thought into what was being done because it's been talked about a lot. Secondly, there's going to be a fund of money available for cities. There's actually a bill that got passed last year that the mayor and I were able to speak to. The person at the DEP is going to be handling that. That's another pocket of, or a bucket of money, I guess I should say, that's going to be possibly available at some point. And they're looking at need. Obviously, the need is way beyond what funds are available. But with the new bill, I think, that you're talking about, that has been reported in the news agencies and what Sutton sent out the email about, there's going to be money from that too. What I understand the auditor was going to do is ask the governor, and I believe they've already done this or in the process of doing, taking a portion of the surplus funds that we keep hearing that the state has and put them in there. And so that there'll be funds available to help local communities deal with this process. So it's a big bill. It's doing a lot of different things, but I think we're pretty much on top of what the bill that got passed last year that now actually has funds in this the treasurer's funding for the that bill that got passed last year. It had no funding. You know, you can pass bills, but you got to have money to make them work. And this one, too, will also give you opportunities. So I think between the two, I think all local communities, many that have a much larger need than this city ever has had, will have some funding available so they can use their funds that they've been taking out of general revenues to do this instead. So I think both of them are real steps forward. And we'll kind of keep everybody posted because they're very active about it. And the municipal league's been very involved. They're gonna make sure everybody has all the information so that if there are funds to avail the city of those funds, we're gonna make sure we get on that list.
Well, and if I could, based on the survey that the attorney and I took through West Virginia DEP, we qualified for over $900,000. They have $10 million, so we're not getting $900,000. We understand that, but that's what we qualified for. But if we get a percentage of that, we can do some great things with that. The benefit of that also is it's commercial and residential properties, so it includes both.
So there's going to be real money out there.
So it helps for urban development.
Well, I think one of the things that we publicly have wrestled with is the amount of time it takes from a time one of these properties gets on our radar screen until we can act on it. Even if we were to buy it, it's a tax sale.
Right.
Is that going to be shortened up?
Yes,
That's the goal.
That's the goal. The idea is to help that get shortened with regard to cities when they're buying the tax lien and making it more streamlined and a simpler process and whatever. Perfect example is you all saw the pictures of the property on 201 Graham Street. Because of two separate tax purchases at delinquent tax sales for 36 months, 3 years, that property was tied up. And in both cases, the purchaser at the tax sale of the lien chose not to take a deed. So there was nothing you could do in that period of
No,
time.
we were shafted.
So and now, the city did, back in October, when it was gonna get sold again, went to the auditor, who at that point had purchased had the tax lien, did redeem it. So, but you still don't own the property, because all you did was buy a tax lien for $729 and change. But you have better control over it now, and the property is improved because it is now down, and there are people interested in it. You just gotta get title to it, and you don't have that yet.
So we can move, essentially, we can move much more efficiently once this is all in place.
I think my reading of the legislation and listening to people that have proposed it, and from what I understand what the auditor said about the folks that actually drafted the legislation, you know, a group of lawyers sat down and put this together instead of just sort of talking about it and whatever. This was a real effort to get this in that manner. It got proposed by the governor, and then both the speaker and the president of the Senate back it. It's kind of a different way of putting it out there. I think if it all works like everyone hopes it will, it's going to make it easier. It's not going to happen tomorrow, but it's sure going to make the process a lot better and give money to communities to take care of properties like this, and to homeowners. This is not going to bypass people that are trying to rehabilitate their property and help them with, you know, these old tax liens and whatever. So it's either you're going to keep it as a viable piece of property in your community, improved upon through funds that can go to an owner or a city or whatever. It's going to solve somewhat of what the problem is that's out there. So I think it's a big move in the right direction.
Thank you, Counselor. Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
You're welcome. Any other alibis tonight?